Welcome to LA Currents. I'm Rasha Goel. With stay-at-home orders and the holiday season here, there is a growing concern around mental health. Joanne O'Brien, City of Los Angeles Medical Services Division Administrator, and Dr. Laura Kokinda, Director of Psychology with the Medical Services Division, are both here to talk to us about the risks and how we can better manage our feelings of isolation and depression. You know, it's no surprise we've seen a growing number of cases with people suffering from anxiety and depression. But what are some of the symptoms and signs that we should be looking out for, not only for ourselves, but for the ones we love as well?
Well, I think one of the main things is just, are you seeing a big change in someone who you know? Are they suddenly more withdrawn or more irritable? You know, is it someone that you talk to quite a bit and then you realize, hey, you know, it's been a few weeks since I've heard from Joanne. Maybe I should check in with her and see if everything's okay. So just sudden noticeable changes.
Anything, and I guess the question to that too is, I'd like to follow up is, how about for ourselves? Because I think sometimes we become so concerned about looking at these signs and symptoms for others. We may be internally going through something, but not even realizing it, especially if you've never dealt with mental health issues before.
Definitely, and right now, like it or not, I think all of us are experiencing some of the symptoms or signs, and we may not realize. We know everything changed initially, suddenly for us, but now it's constant change, and that's really difficult. So it's affecting us all. One thing is, think about, what do you enjoy doing right now? I know it can be a challenge for a lot of us to know, because we've lost a lot of things that we used to use for coping or enjoyment or a break. So make sure, check in with yourself and think, what am I doing to take that break? What am I doing to ease my thoughts a bit when I catch myself worrying a lot about work or the kids' school or finances? You know, am I acting out a bit by drinking more, or am I irritable? You know, how are my relationships? And unfortunately, right now, a lot of marriages and relationships are having a very challenging time because of the amount of time together and the external stressors. So just, I guess the best answer to that is just check in with yourself and think, how am I acting? How am I feeling? And then go from there.
Do you think these symptoms vary when it comes to children, to adults, and seniors? Can you expand on that?
It does vary. You know, there's some overlap between the different age groups, but children tend to act out more when things are going on. Maybe your typically sweet child is suddenly acting aggressive towards you, or, you know, tearing up toys or things that just seems different. That's something to keep an eye on in children. Older adults, elderly, when there's depression or anxiety, get very withdrawn. That's the typical presentation. So if you have any seniors in the family or that you're close with, reach out to them. This is a good time to see how they're doing, because odds are they may not be reaching out to you. And with the restrictions placed, particularly in the older populations in the times of COVID, they're a high priority.
And speaking of the restrictions, as well as with the holidays being here, what are some suggestions you may have on how to maintaining your mental health? Because I think already with COVID, it's really impacted a lot of people, but the holidays just don't make it easier.
Not at all. The holidays are always a challenging time for people. So in order to navigate them with COVID, with restrictions, what you want to do is think about what you enjoy about the holidays. You know, maybe Thanksgiving, everyone has a Scrabble tournament or something. You know, what's been fun? And then think about, how can you move that to digital form? You know, it's time to be creative. Maybe there's a family tournament via the Scrabble app or something like that. I don't know, along those lines, where you can be creative with how you connect with others. Or maybe you all make a new recipe that you found online, and each household makes the recipe, and then you chat about how it went.
Oh, that's fun. Mm-hmm. But so, I mean, you could even do a virtual Thanksgiving, right? I mean, technically call in and have the family members all there while you're eating your turkey.
Definitely, and that's the other thing that has been helpful for people, is to, instead of thinking, okay, we need to have a conversation, we need to only FaceTime to do that. Just leave it, let it run, let it run for a few hours, the camera, and connect that way. So there's less pressure to have a pointed conversation during the time. Then it's more natural also.
Joanna, are there medical services that are offered to people right now, or are there resources that people should be aware of with the City of Los Angeles if they're dealing with anything?
Well, the City of Los Angeles, the mayor has a website that has all of these links in terms of testing, mental health resources, the county as well. So they're just a click away. But stay connected, sort of what Dr. Kokinda was saying. Call people instead of going out and shopping, going on Black Friday and taking that time. Get on the phone and call people that you haven't called in a long time and just have a conversation over the phone. You can make things really fun but simple. I think if we keep it simple this year, the community spread is just so wide right now that it's really safer to be at home. And even though people say, well, I'm not going to get that sick, it's okay, but you might come into contact with somebody who may take that home to a vulnerable population, somebody who has cancer, or somebody who has an autoimmune disease, somebody who's elderly with diabetes. So you just don't know who that's going to touch, and it's just highly, highly contagious. So I think in the winter months, where it's cooler, and we're blessed to be in Southern California, so our winter is not anything compared to, say, New York City. We can visit outside, but people tend to be inside. If you're socializing with family members, you relax, so you'll take off your mask and you'll talk, and that's not a good idea. It's just not, because you don't want to have a nice Thanksgiving and an ICU Christmas, or a holiday. And it may end up to be that way. We'll sort of see numbers in about 2 weeks from now, but everybody just needs to stay home, make it simple, enjoy your home, enjoy the people that you love by just simply calling, or even you can get creative in Southern California because we go outside. We can go outside. So we can go to a park. I have a really large family and we meet up a lot. We'll go to a park and everybody's in a chair farther apart than this. We have our masks on and it's lovely. We get to see each other. So like Dr. Kokinda was saying, you just have to get creative. You don't have to maintain
creative
isolation.
And stay at home are
Right.
the two definite takeaways from
Yeah.
here. How are you both personally dealing with this during this time?
Well, for us, it's really been a challenge to adjust, because I think something that's come up is, the guidance and other things are changing constantly. So right when we think one thing might be okay, well, that's not okay anymore. Now this is okay, or this is not okay. So what we've decided to do is just only see family outside. Luckily, we have a yard where we're able to do that. And that's been something we've prioritized, is continuing to see close family in a safe way, because it is very isolating otherwise. The other thing that we've worked hard to do is to have some variety in what we do at home. As much as it feels good to have everyday kind of routine, right now is the time to mix it up a bit. So maybe we'll get takeout, maybe we'll cook a new recipe, maybe we'll find a new movie one time, then maybe the next day we say we're going to spend the whole day in the yard and we're going to figure out how to make that work. But just something to make every day not blur together quite as badly.
And I'm going to add to that real quick before I come to you, Joanne. Dr. Kokinda, you are a new mom as well. I mean, you've got two little ones. Mm-hmm. But again, that also is a lot of mental health stability that I'm sure many women out there are dealing with, whether they're going through a pregnancy or just had a child. Mm-hmm. Any tips that you could offer to them during this time?
Well, being honest, having been pregnant during the pandemic was very anxiety provoking, because there's not that much information known about what that may mean for anyone, especially pregnant women or newborns. So one thing is to read news sources that are accurate and fair in reporting, but then also stop reading the news. You have to give yourself a break from the news, because I caught myself at times looking up, new studies, new this, trying to find information, and what you get from that is certain things that are dramatized, or certain things that are not accurate or not known yet. So it can fuel more anxiety. So that's one thing, definitely, and take care of yourself.
And Joanne, how are you personally managing your mental health during this time?
For me personally, it's sort of twofold. I have professionally the public health side of it. It just never stops. It never stops. So I have to learn to say, okay, I'm done. When I finally get home, I'm not going to answer that phone unless it's an emergency or you have to take a break from work. So I've learned that, as a nurse and the public health side of it, to kind of, okay, I need to just be home with my family. And I think in my house, we're all working together. Everybody does the right thing. We all support each other. We sort of look at our house as our safe haven. And there's so many things to do at home. Like I'm choosing to, like, that one little project I'm getting done, and it's fun. Or go work out on the yard, or I like to do a lot of different crafts like knit and sew, and I can do that now. So it's really fun.
I love that. You know, it's so funny you both mentioned this, because for me too, people will call me and I don't return calls sometimes, only because I said, I'm so busy. And they ask me, what are you doing? And I said, I don't know, but there's just stuff to do at my house. And same thing, I'm just finding different activities at home that just keep me busy and engaged. You know, one thing I've been reading about, which is very saddening to me, and I'm sure with both of you professionally being in this space, is the number of suicide rates, which has really dramatically gone up. How can we help our loved ones? I mean, what can we really do to prevent these cases or really be there? Because I think it's one thing to understand mental health, but I think there's got to be steps that we can do to really help people who may be on the brink of suicide.
Unfortunately, those numbers are going up. It was going up pre-COVID also, so COVID has added another point of escalation. It goes back to the same thing, reach out, check in on people, even if they don't return the call. A lot of us are not good at returning calls.
I'm not good at it,
yes.
So I'm not intentionally doing it.
Exactly. Some of us, and a lot of people who might be down, that could also be their nature, but just knowing that people are reaching out, even if you don't get the moment on the phone, is really helpful. And other warning signs, keep an eye on people's substance use. If that's a big risk factor for suicide. So if if a friend or family member who's starting to drink a little bit more, or maybe use some other substances, and you get wind of that, keep that in mind. That could be a huge red flag. Reach out to them. Try to get a little additional information if you can. And if you know someone is really in imminent risk at that time, connect with the authorities. Ask them to do a wellness check. Say, I haven't heard from my potentially suicidal friend or family member, and while I can't reach them, can you please see if they're okay? That they can send out the appropriate people to do that kind of thing.
So for that, would you call a 911, or do we have, again, city resources that if we were aware of somebody who may be on the brink of suicide or needs help, what do we do as Angelinos?
You can, if it's imminent, if you can't get a hold of someone, call 911 and say, I don't know if my loved one, my friend is okay. I normally hear from them. I can't get a hold of them. I know they have some mental health issues. Can you please check on them? And LAPD has a special unit that can go out and check on people. They have psychologists on them and with police officers, and they'll go and see if that person is okay.
Yeah, they do. They have clinicians who work closely with PD. It's one of the great resources here where they can check on individuals. And this is if there's an imminent risk. If the person has been talking about suicide, has means, maybe has weapons or other things that are concerning, and has made comments that would lead you to believe it's a very serious situation.
And the other sector of our community that always touches my heart even more is our seniors. And I know we're saying to reach out, but is there anything else we can do or we should notice? Because I really do feel this has been a very difficult time for seniors, and for many of them who are living in nursing homes or not with their families. What can we do for them?
I'm a big supporter of care packages. It doesn't have to be expensive things. Maybe you can make a picture frame with some photos of family, have your children make their grandparents or great-grandparents some crafts, get them together, drop it off for them, and then you don't have to see them in person and create that risk, but you can give them something that's tailored to them, a little more personal, and makes them know that you're thinking about them.
And anything else that seniors can do to help themselves out or each other?
Something that is very important right now that a lot of us are not that great at doing is reaching out and saying, I'm having a tough time. This is more than ever an important time to do that and to say, I realize I've been feeling down for more than a couple days. It wasn't just a bad day or two. I'm starting to not feel like doing anything. Let someone know. Say, I realize I'm changing. Here, send out that lifeline for yourself, and then let your friends and family provide some support.
Thank you for that. I think that's a very important factor. I mean, for any of us at any age, to be able to recognize that and to use our voice to really share that.
And no, it's okay. You don't have to be tough. That's what I've been telling a lot of people nowadays, a lot of city employees who've been struggling in their roles at work because things changed and everyone wants to do a good job. But it's hard right now. It's hard for everyone, and it's okay to say, I'm struggling, or I don't know how to handle the situation. Can you help?
And to have those conversations. I wanted to ask you, because I read in a BBC report that when it comes to mental health issues that are connected to our COVID pandemic here, that there are a lot of long-term lasting effects. Now, one of the things they mentioned was obsessive-compulsive disorders. But according to you, what do you think may be some of those long-lasting term effects of COVID-19?
Well, the obsessive-compulsive disorder makes sense because it's a desire to control something. And right now, everything has felt so out of control for all of us, no matter who you are, that if that's a trigger for you, then there's potentially some effects there. Not just OCD, but anxiety, general anxiety. We've now had the rug pulled out from underneath us so many times that we expect that, which in certain ways is a coping mechanism because we've all learned to charge ahead in this time of uncertainty, but also, it's like we feel like we have our backs against the wall now. And once things start to calm down a little bit, if you continue to function that way, your anxiety stays here, when pre-COVID and this time maybe it was here, and that was the kind of the normal, the baseline. Our baselines have all been elevated, and that's going to have a lasting impact.
So what do we do to control that anxiety? Because that is a risk factor. I mean, I meditate, so I know meditation has helped me, but that's a new concept for a lot of people as well. So how do we control that anxiety?
One of the things that I tell everyone, and it sounds so simple, is just make sure you're breathing. Because when we feel anxious, our bodies take a lot of that stress, and we hold it in places we don't know is there. So we go through the day, and as the day goes on and on, our shoulders get tighter, we're clenching our jaws, we're doing these things. One of the best ways to help reduce some of that is just take a few minutes every once in a while and take nice deep breaths. Help take care of your body, and if you do that, then that will trickle into your emotions and your thoughts. They're all very connected.
What about care? Some people do not have access to care right now for mental health. What are your thoughts on that? And again, what advice would you suggest? I mean, people who are normally maybe going to a therapist, right? Because it changes the dynamics of when you're in person versus having a virtual conversation.
Well, I know one thing that's been tremendously helpful is therapists have gone to that virtual conversation, which it is a little different, but as time's progressed, people have become much more comfortable in that setting. So the therapists have really figured out how to maximize that time and reach a lot of people that way, because it's not just high-risk people who might not want to go sit in a room. Now that's the guidance for everyone. You don't want to spend too much time in that type of setting. So virtual is very accessible. More people are available for treatment that way, and it's been successful from all the feedback.
Joanne, when we look at the resources that are available in our city, what are some of those resources, or people? What information can you share with them?
For behavioral health, a lot of the resources are with the county, but I know there's links on the mayor's website or even get on the Department of Behavioral Health with the county, and they do have access to free behavioral health and also sort of support groups. They are setting, as Dr. Kokinda said, things online where there's groups. So there is help out there, and you just sort of have to get on your computer and look for it. I think I just wanted to add also in terms of managing the anxiety, exercise is so good for anxiety. Your body releases regular endorphins that sort of make you feel happy. So you don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to work out with other people. You can just simply go outside of your house and go for a walk, and enjoy our lovely weather, which is really good. Have goals. I'm going to walk this far this day, then walk another, and then you'll start to feel better. You'll sleep better. So that's a really good way to manage your anxiety. And then also sort of identify what's getting you ramped up. What is it? What is it? And Dr. Kokinda said she was watching the news. Maybe the news is making me anxious, so maybe I need to shut it off. It'll still be there tomorrow. Give yourself a media break. Do something completely different. Watch a funny, stupid show. My husband and I have been watching like old reruns of police shows. They're really funny, and they're, in LA and you can see the streets, but it completely takes your mind off of the world. So I think in order to take care of ourselves, you have to take a break. It's okay.
Absolutely. You mentioned media. Let's talk about social media. The impact of social media during this time of COVID on our mental health.
For lots of reasons right now, social media is quite a challenge. Information that's been spreading may or may not be accurate. The other thing that happens on social media is people tend to present their best self or maybe their ideal self, with everything from different filters for appearances to setting up certain types of photo ops. It's really a challenge because when we look at it, even though we may cognitively know, this is not probably the person's reality right now, it's hard to not have that emotional reaction to like, oh, look at how well they're doing. I'm not out there reading 90 books and creating new bread recipes and, having my kids do perfect online school in their perfect looking, new room with the computers. It just, comparing ourselves is always dangerous. And social media is very rarely an accurate depiction of what's really going on in someone's life.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and I'm so glad you brought that up because it's a reminder of that's not reality necessarily, right? But so do you limit your time then on social media, or what should people do?
Yes, hide your phone from yourself. It's probably the best thing that we can all do now. And it's very hard because we're anxious, and one thing that helps us get through that anxiety is staying busy. Well, the easiest way to stay busy is sit on your phone and click, 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 scroll, scroll, scroll. So take those phones, put them away. It's okay to leave your phone for a while, unless if you're waiting to hear from someone or an important situation, but take a break.
Can you also talk about the importance for people out there who are already suffering from depression or anything that's affected their mental health in the past, that especially now with the holidays, how they really need to be more vigilant about how they're feeling or be proactive?
Yes, it's like I said before, the holidays are always a challenging time, and if it's something that's been challenging in the past, or maybe this year would be challenging anyway, there could be a recent divorce or a loss in the family, those types of things that were already going to make the holidays a trigger. Be on top of it. Take very good care of yourself. The most important thing to keep in mind, I think, for everyone, because it's easy to focus, it's very concrete, is take care of your physical health. Make sure you're sleeping. Make sure you're eating healthy food. Stay away from too much junk food, too much things like that. And then if your body's feeling good, it'll help you feel that you're emotionally capable to reach out and do the things that you need to do.
I think one thing that, and I don't know, I think everybody deals with this differently though, is taking medication, right? What are your thoughts on that? Some people are okay with it, some are hesitant, But would you say that if you need the medication to help you, it's okay?
Of course. This is something, there's very skilled providers available to talk to people about what your options are in these times. Maybe medication is right for you, maybe it's not. But that's something, if you reach out and to family practice, psychiatrists, therapists, even, they can all get you the correct referrals, do the assessments that need to be done to see if that's the right thing for you to try.
Thank you. Joanne, anything else you'd like to share with us when it comes to the city and mental health and coping with this, especially during the holidays?
I think what I would like to say more than anything is we really need to take care of each other. We really need to wear a mask, stay 6 feet away, and wash your hands. Those are just 3 simple public health measures that we all can do, and they really make a difference. So in terms of the city, we're here to support that, but it really starts with taking care of each other, I think, to get through these difficult times.
And as we go into 2021, what are some words of hope or wisdom that you both would like to share with Angelenos? I mean, it's a trying time, but I feel like if as a community we can all come to support each other and help each other out, there definitely is some hope for some better times next year.
I think a vaccine is on the horizon, which is amazingly exciting. Yeah, we have more than one, so that we have that to look forward to. So if we all do those little simple things, it's coming. The cavalry is coming. And I think it's a good time to volunteer. It makes you feel really good. There's so much need out there now with the food banks. People aren't working, so reach out to help each other. Just get online. There's tons of places that need help.
And is it safe to be out there volunteering?
I think so. If you take the precautions, absolutely. We know those public health measures work. If you're vulnerable, I would talk to your physician before doing that, but it's okay. If you keep your distance, wear your mask, you'll be okay.
And how about for you?
My best advice for everyone now is hang in there. No matter who you are, you've gone through tough times before, sometimes for a long time, and that's what we're all in now. It's like running a marathon. We're getting worn down, but think back. Maybe you really hated 8th grade. That's a whole year. You survived it. You've moved on. We're just reliving those kinds of feelings now, but things will get better. There's hope. Hang in there. Take care of each other, and there's hope.
Well, that's a great way to look at it. I have to ask you both what you are doing for the holidays.
Sitting in our yard with some new recipe that I'll be trying and sharing with my family in Ohio. Hopefully they'll try the same thing.
Yes, we know you're a banana bread expert, correct?
Yes, we did try that before. People are burnt out on banana bread, so now I'm looking at a new stuffing.
Okay, great. And how about
the
you?
same? In my yard, very small. I have a big family, but we're not going to see each other. We're going to get on and have a virtual hello, so it'll be fine.
We hope that you stay safe, healthy, and well.